Hi, my name is Ben Bartlett, and well, to get things started, I have a purpose. My specific purpose of my speech right now is to show my my audience on how they can make documentaries the the best given technique on what I wanted to share with them. But all that includes of besides making documentaries on how to make really really good interviews. I mean, for starters, how many how many of you want to watch document would love to watch documentaries or any kind of interviews by from any other people that you admired, like if you admired a filmmaker or musician or an actor, you want to see any kind of interviews that they would give out? Well, I imagine you would love to, but anyway, out of many other interviews that we have seen in our lifetimes, I would want to talk about on how to set up a good interview on what you wanted to see with what kind of documentary or interview for the viewers to enjoy watching. Of course, for any credibility, how I know all this a little, with some information I had to look up as notes, is that I recently took in a class that taught me how to shoot an interview with good story structure, good sound mixing, with putting all that into the in your own interview. And that also teaches me how to create a short documentary, like if I had created some B-rolls or with the interview, I would just have that gift to create such a thing. Of course, the importance for this topic to talk about is I do like to watch some documentaries, especially ones from HBO or Sundance or any, if Showtime could ever have it. For example, in 2017, I watched an HBO documentary talking about one of my favorite filmmakers of all time, with Steven Spielberg being interviewed, how he made his films, or how all his films were connected. Of course, that all dealt with his personal life. Of course, the main thing is I would be talking about the 3-point lighting as part of what an interview would be set up with that type of lighting, the camera setting up, and how story structures should be set up upon. Now, for the 3-point lighting, that might be tricky, because even though it was tricky for me at first, but I finally got that. But on how it is set up, 3-point lighting consists 3 lights with a camera pointing at your own person that you are interviewing with. That includes the backlight, fill light, and key light. Now, the backlight is where it is almost behind a person, but it covers the backside of him. Even without these, all you see is a shadow face, or what the camera sees. And with these 2 lights, all I could hit is part of the part which side of the face that the camera would see, and without backlight as well, you would have darkness behind the person you were interviewing with. Other than that, it is a good setup. Of course, for setting up the camera, first you gotta make sure your subjects have a nice background behind them, and use a light behind them to add separation from the backdrop or wall, as we just talked about. Second, you use a light behind them to add separation. Second, you use a soft light source in front of your subjects to remove any harsh lights. Next, make sure your camera is at eye level. Eye level, so the subjects do not have to look up or down at the camera. Then, stay far enough away to get a great shot. But watch out for the forbidden crotch shots. I mean, this will make most viewers cringe and lose focus on your video message, which we don't want. Then make sure you are paying attention to the amount of time the subjects are looking at each other and looking at the camera as well. Like, I guess I should have, but we'll talk about that later. Finally, set yourself up for video magic success by capturing great audio with great set of lapel mics, or microphones as we prefer to call it. I mean, usually we would have to use a shotgun mic in order for that to work as well. I mean, that all includes setting up your zebras with your camera, or the white balance, the zooming, and the focus. That all includes on that. I mean, with zebras, it would be something like this, as you could see, in the face of a camera. I mean, hey, it all make a good interview shot with with this like here, and this interview shot right here. Next up, we would like to talk about story structure. Now, to set up a story structure for your interview or short documentary on what you want to create, you would have to script it in a way, like script it in your mind on what interviews you have conducted. That all includes the 3-act structure. Of course, like tell the story on what you want to tell, especially from your interviews, like how they did an HBO documentary on Steven Spielberg. Like, you see, there's some parts that they talk about which film or what personal life that Spielberg had to deal with, like his family life, like why hasn't he talked to his father, or why he made Schindler's List or Saving Private Ryan, or what all his films had dealt with at the end of the documentary. And this is just a good example. To anybody else who are journalists in a way, or people that work on documentaries for a living, all these apply because they can be useful, very useful, especially using with the techniques of a 3-point lighting, camera setting up, and story structure. So, with any other viewer who watches your interviews or documentaries, they could actually learn something from them. You just have to be artful, be creative, and don't be a jerk. Just give them some good life learning lessons that they would want to learn. Because I guess in our future generations, for making any kind of interviews for any topic we wanted to tell about, we would use techniques that we've got and just believe that they are very good to share to anybody. Thank you, and so let's get some interviews done.